also yesterday held a press conference where he responded to Hamad Ba's comments there. Smart Construction has also launched its social housing project during a news conference this past Friday. Keksane will join me today. We will be talking about the distressed draft constitution. The former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, recently jetted into the country to find a way of bringing all the stakeholders together as a way of finding a consensus. He has been monitoring the situation. He will join me a little later. But before all of this, we will take a look at what the newspapers are reporting on today. We have the Standard and the Point newspapers with us today. Let's see what the Standard is reporting on, saying that court frees soldiers accused of plotting to overthrow Barrow. That's their lead story there. And NRP deputy leader calls Hamad a cankerworm. Barrow speaks on removal of cabinet detractors. Dialogue on constitution ends in deadlock. That's what the Standard is reporting on their massive development. Their VP calls for attitudinal change towards official properties. Divisive politics has no place in New Gambia. That's Almami Tal. Sirin Jai says Barrow's tour not politicized. So let's see what So according to the Standard today, Captain Yaya Bire Jame and 7 others have been acquitted and discharged by the Court of Appeal on the count of treason, for which they were convicted by a general court-martial. The 3 female judges of the appellate court unanimously set aside the 9 years imprisonment terms imposed on the men by the military court last year. NRP deputy leader calls Hamad a cankerworm. The deputy leader of the National Reconciliation Party has described his party leader Hamad Ba, who doubles as Minister of Tourism, as a cankerworm in President Barrow's cabinet and in the NPP. Musa Sonko, who has no love lost for his party leader, said Hamad Ba's theatrics are undermining President Barrow's political agenda. Barrow speaks on removal of cabinet detractors. President Adam Barrow has said that his development ambitions were hampered by the coalition government, saying if Gambians voted massively for his new National People's Party in 2021, they would see unprecedented development. Dialogue on constitution ends in deadlock. The government's first attempt to find consensus on the draft constitution has suffered a deadlock. That's according to the Standard. There, in September, Gambian lawmakers rejected a draft constitution to replace the 1997 constitution. About 31 National Assembly members voted in favor of the bill to be passed, while 23 members rejected the draft. The Barrow government then turned to mediation specialist and former Nigeria President Goodluck Jonathan to find consensus on the draft constitution ahead of its planned return to the National Assembly. Keksane will join me a little later. We will talk about this. We understand PDIS has not been taking part in anything that has to do with a dialogue or a negotiation, if you like. There, Sidinjai says Barrow's tour not politicized. The key NPP surrogate, Sidinjai, has claimed that the president's ongoing Meet the People's tour has been politicized, or the claims that they are politicized are ridiculous. Divisive politics has no place in Gambia. The UDP has said divisive politics has no place in New Gambia, and that it is not for anyone to stand on a political platform and start saying things that are relevant or irrelevant, untrue, or based on supposition in a bid to divide Gambians. This reaction from the main opposition party came hot on the pronouncement by Minister Hamad Ba that the opposition are currently busy agitating for the extension of franchise to diaspora Gambians in the US and Europe, while snubbing Gambians closer home in other African countries. That's Almami Tal making those comments there. Let's see you then. What Point is reporting on today? Court of Appeal acquits soldiers convicted of treason. Also reported there by the Standard. Government committed to demystifying misconception on returning migrants. Smart Construction launches social housing project. Nigeria remains destination Gambia key market. So according to the Point today, the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure, has affirmed the government of the Gambia through the National Coordination Mechanism on Migration and its satellite coordination outfits are indeed committed to demystifying all misconceptions related to returning migrants who made unsuccessful attempts to reach Europe. Dr. Toure was speaking last Friday during the presentation of IT equipment meant for the Secretariat of the National Coordination Mechanism on Migration by IOM at the State House. Let's also see some other news on the point. In their quest to end the setback that has befallen the tourism sector amid recent threats posed by the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic and other unforeseen situations, the management of the Gambia Tourism Board has affirmed that, that Nigeria remains one of the key markets as far as regional tourism is concerned. Pretty much that's all we have for you from the newspapers there. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, residents of Tranquil on Sunday held a press conference where they asked the government to intervene in a long-standing land dispute involving at least 22 homeowners there in Bijilo, Tranquil. More in this report.
The late afternoon news conference was called by the residents on Sunday as they continue to live in the fear of getting evicted.
Once the properties or the plot of lands were bought, we proceed to develop our respective plots with buildings worth millions of dollars. A German national by the name Ban George Dedrich claimed ownership of our lands consisting of 22 plots, compounds measuring about 180 meters by 69 meters by 150 by 137.90 meters. Since then, we've been in a protracted land dispute with Ban George Dedrich. The matter was taken to court by Judge Dedrich and obtained a judgment in his favor in 2012. We were not a party to this case. We were not aware of this case and was not served of any judicial proceedings. We only knew about this case one day when they came to evict us with a lorry full of police intervention unit personnel in riot gears and guns.
A massive 22 families are involved. This land dispute stretches to as far back as in the previous government.
Without waiting for us to exercise our right to stay of execution and appeal of the court judgment. Upon eviction, we wrote a petition to the then president that led to the formation of an investigative panel that came up with their report. It concluded that we return our properties and ban be compensated another location in the greater Banyon area. The matter was deemed amicably resolved, laid to rest. We were told to go ahead and lease our properties if any of us meet the lease requirement. Some of us went ahead, applied, and were granted lease. We were the people who wrote the petition to the previous government to acknowledge them about our frustration and misery. They didn't come from thin air. No abuse of power, as skeptics might assume when Jammeh government intervention is mentioned in this dispute. After the change of government, to our surprise, we received a notice to vacate we received a notice to vacate by the Honorable Sheriff. We think is very unjust, unfair, not in the interest of justice and fair play. That Ban George Dedrich has been fully compensated, but still try to evict us from our land we legally bought and spend millions to develop.
According to the aggrieved families, they got their land from traditional landowners in Bijilo. With this, they mean the Alcalo.
As I stated in the speech, we obtain our land from bona fide traditional landowners. Our source of ownership derived from the Alcalo of Bijilo. I think with our norms and values, normally, previously, Alcalo's own land. We 100% sure this land belongs to the Bijilo Alcalo. You know, we are 100% sure, because down in history, Alcalos are always the people who own villages. And when you look at Bijilo, this family, they've been the Alcalos from long way back. They're the owners of Bijilo, which nobody can dispute, the Charter family. Thank you, sir.
The compound owners have also accused the man who claims to own this part of Tranquil and his partner of either renting away or trying to sell their land.
The compound that they were actually renting, their owners are here with me. And when we came to when the state came, the day they were supposed to evict them, those people who were asked to stay in the name of ban, they told us they were renting. Some of them were mechanics. You know, we have proof beyond reasonable doubts to that. Yes, sir. And when it's about sales, it's already indicated everywhere on our walls for sale, with numbers written on it. And in fact, I one time called Ban and wanted to know, whether this was numbers belonging to somebody else. But when I call him, I say I pretended to be a potential buyer and conceal my identity, and told him I wanted my own home. He said he was selling it for $4 million. I was so annoyed that I didn't continue concealing my identity. Then he rang off. So we have proof beyond reasonable doubt.
They also want the borough administration to intervene.
Recently, we pushed to a tight corner with the provocative situation we are in, caused by no other than an individual with his enabler for nothing other than fostering their ambition for self-enrichment from our hard-earned built homes. The trend this whole situation is taking is frustrating and will eventually lead to serious conflict, the possible consequence of which may lead to violence or undesirable results, since they are constantly coming to our homes to evict us and families forcefully. Our ardent desire to enjoy the fruit of our investment in peace, in tranquility in our motherland. We don't have words to express what we are going through. The magnitude of pain, frustration. This is why we consider it dutiful on us as responsible law-abiding citizens to revert back to our government and all genuine concerned citizens with the means and powers to help us solve this unending frustration we as family heads are facing all the time. We have firm belief that as a citizen of a state, we deserve some kind of protection. This is why we call this press conference. We pledge to His Excellency Adama Barrow and his able government to come to our intervention, help solve this land dispute amicably.
The white man is relying on a court judgment which was made in his favor to take back his land. But already, houses numbering 22 have been built on the land worth millions of dollars. It will certainly take a fight before these people can have their investments taken away from them. Reporting for the Fatu Network News Review, Jack CCJT. The late after.
By Parfum, the first parfum bar in Gambia. By Parfum moo leen indil beneen façon parfum sa boutique bu rafet bu yañ bu mucc ayib ca By Parfum di nga fa fekk ay cuuraay yu amul fenn te naturel cëm ak seddaay bi boole si nag air freshener yu doy waar mel ni Venus, Flora, Fresh ay wuñu parfum bu classique waaye it bàyyi wuñu yi nga xam ne ñoo gën a famous si àdduna bi Oud Private Collection ak yeneen yu am solo. For the first time ñëw leen découvrir parfum bar mbir mu bees si àdduna bi tànnal sa flavor bu la neex. By Parfum ñu ngi nekk 54 Kayraba Avenue opposite American Embassy. Mën ngeen ñëw woo ci 77 00035 wala 529 1888.
Now, Honorable Omar Sise, that's the National Assembly member for Nyamina East, has blasted back as untrue claims there by Hamad Bah that he blocked efforts to construct roads in Nyamina East. Bah had said over the weekend the Nyamina East lawmaker voted against the supplementary appropriation bill which sought to build roads in Nyamina East. The MP on Monday held a press conference to respond to this and other claims there by Hamad Bah that he must have spoken at his own funeral, referring to the MP's fiery speech there at President Barrow's meeting held in Patesam this past Saturday. Now,
wax naa waa Nyamina East ndaje li nga xam ne la Adama Barrow teewoon foofu noonu ma ne leen yéen a ma óolu yéen a ma yaakaar jox ma seen kàddu jox ma seen baat jox ma everything pour ma toogal leen si néegi député yi su ma toogaay si néegi député yi mooy waxal leen lii te loolu wax naa ko kon tey mooy bis bu Adama Barrow toogoon foofu noonu dinaa leeral kàddu yi nga xam ne Adama Barrow ak nguuram gi daan naa leen ko wax si néegi député yi te kàddu yooyu noonu yëpp leeral naa ko si ndaje lu ñu amoon si biir Pathé Sam moo nekk jafe-jafe dox moo nekk jafe-jafe kuréel moo nekk jafe-jafe agriculture essentiel yi si wàllu garden yi moo nekk tey li nga xam ne moo nekk wàllu yoon ak yeneen yi nga xam ne war nañ ko doole leen ndaw ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekk si biir Ñaamena East foog naa lii wax naa ko si biir ndaje li wax naa ko si yar ak teggin jox naa bépp kilifa si biir réew mi fii surtout xale sax waxuma laay mag cër bi nga xam ne war naa leen koy jox lépp li nga xam ne maa ngi koy wax surtout si ay kanami kilifa foog naa ne toujours dama koy wax ak yar dama koy wax ak teggin lii def naa ko kenn si ñoom teew na si jataay boobu ñu gën koo xamee si honorable Amad Ba mu nekk Ministry of Tourism Amad Ba gaaral na fa ay kaddu li ma yaakaaroon si nguur gi ak ñu fa teew ak ñu gaaral ay kaddu ba honorable Omar Cissé waxee ba pare jafe-jafe yu nga xam ne wax naa ko si biir meeting boobu li ma doon yaakaar si président bi li ma doon yaakaar si agriculture ministre bi li ma doon yaakaar si tourism ministre bi li ma doon yaakaar si minister of lands mooy ñu wax ma problème yi yan jéego leen war a jël pour saafaraal problème yooyu noonu ñu wax ma yan plans leen am pour remédier situation bi nga xam ne leen Ñaamena East nekk léegi lii moo nekk li nga xam ne loolu laa doon expect si meeting boobu noonu waa Ñaamena East loolu moo nekk li nga xam ne loolu leen doon expect si honorable Amad Ba loolu leen doon expect si président bi loolu leen doon expect si Ministry of Agriculture kon ñu wax leen li nga xam ne leen defaale ak li nga xam ne leen bugg a def ak li nga xam ne leen amal Ñaamena East pour war leen koy defal but to our surprise Amad Ba kàddu yu nga xam ne tey gaaral na ko foofu noonu nee na tey Ñaamena East soo gisee ñu ñàkk yoon soo gisee mënuñoo am développement soo gisee tey mënuñoo dem si kanam honorable Omar Cissé bokk na si ñu waral loolu kàddu yooyu Amad Ba gaaral na ko kàddu yooyu honorable Omar Cissé mu ngi koy daaxalu kàddu yooyu honorable Omar Cissé mu ngi koy ñaawlu kàddu yooyu honorable Omar Cissé mu ngi wane du kàddu dëgga kàddu yooyu honorable Omar Cissé mu ngi wax ne mostu am soo demee si néegi député yi da ngeen gis li ma nekk di wax foofu noonu honorable Amad Ba benn si kàddu yi nga xam ne wax na ko mu ne ñoom jël neen kayit boo xam ne kayit boobu den ko indi si néegi député yi pour ñu war a defaral Ñaamena East yoon honorable Omar Cissé dafa taxaw pour leeralal askan bi dafa taxaw ngir leeralal Ñaamena East dafa taxaw ngir leeralal Gambia yépp foo waay muntu nekk na leen li nga xam ne la honorable Amad Ba wax ne indi woon leen kayit boobu dafa nekk di wax comme defar ay yoon Ñaamena East maa ngi leeralal askan bi surtout waa Ñaamena East na leen lii dafa nekk li nga xam ne nguuri Adama Barrow mosuñ koy xalaat dafa nekk li nga xam ne nguuri Adama Barrow mosuñ koy bind si kayit dafa nekk li nga xam ne nguuri Adama Barrow mosuñoo jël dalasi ne pour Ñaamena East la pour ñu liggéeyal leen yoon kon li may wax nii su ngeen duggee si néegi député yi da ngeen ko gis su ngeen laajee député yu nga xam ne nii laa dee liggéeyal da ngeen ko gis su ngeen laajee député Amad Ba yu nga xam ne sax laa nekkal si néegi député yi daneen leen wax na leen loolu mostu am mosu ñoo indi kayit si néegi député yi mosu ñoo indi xaalis si néegi député yi xaalis bi nga xam ne wala kayit bi nga xam ne mu ngi wanee ne Ñaamena East del leen war a liggéeyal yoon wala del leen bugg a liggéeyal yoon dinaa leen leeralal kayit bi nga xam ne moo ñëwoon si néegi député yi supplementary appropriation bill mooy li nga xam ne leen indi woon si néegi député yi bañ indee kayit boobu noonu li nga xam ne leen bindi pour mu nekk afri yoon ñu war koo liggéey si biir Gambia fii moo nekk Hakalang Road journaliste yi xam ne li ma nekk di wax waa Hakalang xam ne li ma nekk di wax waa Gambia xam ne li ma nekk di wax waa bitim réew xam ne li ma nekk di wax beneen si yoon yooyu moo nekk Salum Road project yoon boobu noonu foog naa gis ngeen Adama Barrow dem na foofu ak ay nitam ñu ne leneen di foundation stone beneen bi nga xam ne moo bokk si yoon yooyu noonu bokk na si Ñaanija road project yii mooy yi nga xam ne indi woon nañ ko si néegi député yi lu ñu fa indi woon nguur gi ñu ne den bëgg a defar yoon yi na leen député yi nangu tool xaalis bi nga xam ne leen war a liggéey yoon yi honorable Omar Cissé dinaa ko leeralaat ko ne man duma xañ benn doomi aadama li nga xam ne mooy développement surtout si ñi nga xam ne aajo neen ko man duma xañ benn doomi aadama ñi nga xam ne ñi ngay joytu ay mbir si juróom fukki at si gannaaw ñu war leen koo liggéeyal ma leen a xañ loolu surtout ñi nga xam ne ñoo ma óolu sànnil ma carte di waa Ñaamena East ma war leen a xañ yoon loolu Omar Cissé du jikkoom Omar Cissé kàddu yooyu taxut koo liggéey jëf yooyu taxut maa dugg si néegi député yi bokk naa si ñi nga xam ne den taxaw difen loolu noonu mu am dinaa leen leeralal yéen ñi nga xam ne yéenay déglu ne li nga xam ne man moom laa wax wala laa gaaral si ay kàddu si biir waxtaan boobu noonu bañ doon nangutoo afri xaalis boobu pour yoon yooyu noonu mooy développement fu mu muntu nekk si biir Ñaamena développement fu mu muntu nekk si biir Gambia fii man honorable Omar Cissé dinaa taxaw ba support ko moo xam si nguuri Adama Barrow la moo xam ndax si beneen nguur la ndaxte dama gëm ne développement yooyu ñu nekk di def kon xaalis réew mi leen ko nekk di defee xaalis réew moomu noonu ñu nekk di ko liggéeyee askan bi ñoo dajale xaalis boobu noonu dénk ko nguur gi kon xaalis boobu moo nekk lempo ak naamo yu nekk di fay nguur gi.
What the claim that Amat made or Amat Bah made has to do with the fact that you voted against the supplementary bill, appropriation bill, the SAP. Did you vote against it?
I make it very clear, and I circulated a video that is where exactly I am talking about this very document. I never voted against the supplementary appropriation bill. I stood firm to defend that supplementary appropriation bill and to emphasize to the government that me supporting the supplementary appropriation bill is a development need for those individuals there. But there is also need for them to consider the people of Ñaamena East. And that is exactly what I said if you listen to the video that I posted on my Facebook page.
TAF Africa Global presents the new Tulip Gardens. TAF Tulip Gardens is set to comprise service plots in sizes ranging from 220 to 570 meters square. Deposit as low as $83,600 is only an 18-month interest-free payment plan with only 20% deposit on the service plots. Please contact 376-2333 or 776-2333. Free. Tough.
And now, Smart Construction, this past Friday, launched its social housing project. The company is seeking to have every Gambian to own a home with just under $1 million through a zero-interest mortgage system. The launch of the project came at a press conference held at the company's office there in Brussels. More in this report by Mati Sangor.
Leading civil engineering and construction company, Smart Construction on Friday, launched its social housing project. The project is seeking to end the housing problems the Gambians, particularly those in the lowest rung phase.
We specialise in construction, civil engineering and general merchandising, as well as project management. Our design and architectural concept is both modern and unique. We own all our own lands and we have designated one land site that we are going to start our first social housing project on. We've previously in the Gambia managed projects building schools and also homes for people in the Gambia.
Smart Construction has been in business for over 5 years. The company's executive managing partner, Basamba Drame, says their social housing project is designed to ensure every Gambian owns a home.
One of the reasons why we see this as a need for Gambia is because of the rapid population growth and the housing crisis in this country. We have a lot of real estate, but we want to not just to stand out, but we also want to cater to the needs of the Gambian people. And we know that fundamentally, the way housing is going in this country at some point there will be a big rift, and at some point housing would be unaffordable in our own country for our citizens. Housing will be unaffordable for the working class. Housing will be unaffordable for Gambians.
The company's top official says his company is planning to introduce real mortgage into the Gambia with zero interest.
We came up with our social housing project for the first time in the history of Gambia, not just to build smart houses, not just to make money and sell our properties to Gambians, but also to help Gambians to live in affordable homes as they deserve. The rest of the world is following this model. The rest of Africa, almost every country in Africa has social housing project. We're meant to have it, but we don't. And that's very, very, very unfortunate in this 21st century. So that is why we're launching this project today. So the smart social housing project would allow Gambians to live in affordable house with a good rate without worrying about the huge deposit that are unaffordable or building or mortgage cost. It's difficult to build a house. It costs minimum $2 million. Even if you live abroad, it takes you 3 years to build a house. Even if you earning a lot, or you work on the top, or you on the high end of the receiving end, it's still difficult for you to finish your home in 2-3 years. Is that the way forward for Gambia? It's not. So that is why our social housing project is a necessity in the Gambia. So we also understand that, of course, there must be partnership, public partnership, private partnership, and this is the only way forward to see the social housing project being developed and supported and achieved. So we'll take you through to our mortgage system. Our mortgage would not be anything more than 30 to 40% of your earnings. And I would want to break this down for all of you. When we mean 30 to 40%, of course, more than that goes to, or almost 80% of our salary goes to housing, looking at our salary system in this country, our earnings in this country. People probably earning about 5,000 would end up spending all of that paying rents. And that's very obvious, and that's true. So what we want to do, if you earn $5,000, you wouldn't pay more than $2,000 from your salary to our mortgage system. That's just to break it down for you.
Papa Njai, speaking at the launching, insisted owning a land is a human right and guaranteed by the Gambia Constitution.
Failing to recognize, protect, and fulfill this fundamental right to adequate housing results in the violation of numerous fundamental human rights, including right to work, right to education, right to health, and right to security. This is one of the many gaps. Hopefully, Smart Construction Company will be here in the Gambia to fulfill.
The PPP leader also called on Gambians to come out and support smart construction.
I'd like to congratulate my own brothers, Basamba Drame and Ansumana Sise, who are both young and dynamic. Good luck to Team Smart Construction. Let us all come out and support our own Gambian brothers and sisters.
The company owns lands in Gunjur. Leading civil engineering and construction company, Smart Construction on Friday, launched its social housing project. The project is seeking to end the housing problems the Gambians, particularly those in the lowest rung, face.
Do you want to win millions of dollars this December? All you have to do is dial *777# for free or call or SMS 1010 at $3 is only to participate in the new AfriHali show and be part of the 7 daily winners.
Every Tuesday, Wednesday and Fridays live on GRTS, Afri Radio and social media platforms. Be part of our lucky winners.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
Very well, welcome back. The draft constitution clearly is in a massive distress. Well, the Gambia government, the Barrow administration is now trying to bring it back in the way of finding a consensus around the document. And this was why they hired, or they tapped, the former president of Nigeria, mediation expert, if you like, to come in and find a way of talking to our political leaders in a bid to finding an agreement, a deal, so that the document or the charter can be taken back to the National Assembly. Keksane has been monitoring all the events that has been happening. He joins me now. Keks, thank you for joining me. What do you have to say about this new approach, if you like, there by the government?
Actually, Lamin, thank you very much once again for having me on this platform, Father Network, and thank you to your listeners. Actually, it sounds so funny to me when I had the whole idea of bringing somebody to come and mediate, or a kind of trying to settle like there's a constitutional crisis or a constitutional impasse in the Gambia, which actually didn't happen in this country. And I heard that the president has to hire somebody to come all the way from Nigeria by the name Goodluck Jonathan to come and negotiate with the Gambian politician to see how best we can definitely have this draft constitution passed through the parliament when actually there is no problem. So everything sounds funny to me, and I think the executive could be in a better position to tell the Gambian people why Goodluck Jonathan is here, because for me, I have not seen any issue that warrant Goodluck Jonathan to leave all the way from Nigeria to come to the Gambia in regards of talking or trying to convince the Gambian people to accept the draft constitution, which the vast majority of the National Assembly members already accepted the draft constitution, because going by the voter trend, those who said yes to the draft constitution are more than those who said no to the draft constitution. So actually I have no idea why he's here, but for me it's waste of resources, it's waste of time. For me it doesn't worth it. We have a way in which we could have handled this situation without the involvement of the outsiders, and we could have solved the matter if the executive are truly ready and they are willing and they have the will to have this draft constitution as the constitution of the Gambia.
But Keks, when you say it is that there is no problem, you know, clearly that would be a bold argument. Clearly there is a problem. Clearly there is a stalemate. There is a standoff really over this. You have this party, this side, fighting with this side. This side is saying we are not happy with A, B, and C, and this is why we are not supporting it. So you clearly need someone to come in to find a way of making sure that there is agreement. You don't agree?
Yeah, actually, I would have agreed with that if it is political parties in the opposition side, their National Assembly members have a divergent view in regards to the draft constitution. They feel like, okay, they are not supported. One could say that there is an impasse that needs a mediation. But in this aspect, it is the executive that claim that they want this draft constitution to go through the National Assembly to pass and become the law of this country, are the very people that are calling a mediation team. And if you look at the voter trend in the National Assembly, if you look at the UDP National Assembly members, the entire UDP National Assembly members has voted in favor of the draft constitution. The DOI members has all voted in support of the draft constitution. The GDC, the two that we know, they are still supporting GDC, that's Umaru and Alaji, all voted for it. The ones that vote against it are the ones we know that they have leaned to Barrow side. And the National Assembly members that were suspended in the UDP, the UDP camp, and they become independent National Assembly members supporting Barrow camp, and one Mohamed Magasi of independent and NRP National Assembly members. And all these people are in the side of the executive. So for me, if the executive have the will, and they definitely are ready to have this draft constitution as the constitution of the Gambia, the best thing they could have done is to talk to their National Assembly members and tell them, okay, this is the situation right now, and let's look at the bigger picture, and that's the Gambia. And we are not drafting a constitution for an individual. We are not drafting this constitution to suit Adama Barrow or to suit any other politician, but we are drafting a constitution that favors or that speaks the language of the Gambian people. And it is clearly stated in their coalition manifesto that, you know, when they came into power, their task is constitutional reform, institutional reform, electoral rules to be reformed. These are the agendas. And if the coalition failed to achieve this, then they have failed the Gambian people totally, because these are the agendas that they have campaigned based So, and the constitution is quite important because we have all accused the 1997 constitution has been a soldier constitution. Others even went to the extent calling it a toilet constitution. So it was a toilet paper. So it went up to an extent that we all know that the 1997 constitution has been amended for 60-something times during a Jammeh regime in trying to suit him. So we say that now at least we will not have a better draft constitution. But there's a stage in the National Assembly where all those objections that they could have discussed, and subject matter, especially like the CRRC, will be invited, and they will give a better explanation to them whether they will maybe their interpretation and the interpretation of the CRRC or what it doesn't mean. Then you will have a better understanding. At that stage, you still have the right to vote no or yes at the committee stage or at the third reading. But they killed the bill at the second reading, when you should only look at the general principles and the merits of the bill rather than going into the details of the bill. But the National Assembly members, instead of waiting for the third stage where they will look at clause by clause, they just jump fence and went and just kill the bill at the second reading.
Why do you think their political leaders did not take that approach? The approach of just, I mean, that is a very simple approach of just telling your MPs, look, we just go and then say yes to the bill. Why do you think their political leaders didn't do that?
It sounds funny to me, and the trend that the executive is taking, meaning that we're going to start fresh if this bill has to come back to the National Assembly. That means that it has to start fresh like the day it was tendered to the Adama Barrow president. Then it has to come to the parliament and it has to be gazetted for 3 months, 10 days before it appears in the parliament. And if that goes, it has to go through the first reading, the second reading, it goes to the third in the publication in the gazette and so many things. So that might take us maybe, and the election, the constitution is very clear that 6 months before the election you cannot change any electoral laws in this country. And if you look at the draft constitution, you'll find out that there are clauses that touch the IEC, and the law is very clear. 6 months before the election, you can touch. So for me, my own understanding, these people are just taking a way that will delay the entire process until 6 months is elapsed. We will not have the 2020 draft constitution, and we'll go in the 1997 constitution that doesn't have age limit, that doesn't have the single majority. At the end of the day, when the president is elected based on the 1997 constitution, what he will do, okay, we are elected based on the 1990, and there's no law in the 1990 that says that there's a term limit. So then my 2 terms are not counted. The 2 terms that I have served here are not, so the counting will start. So he might go for another 4 years, 4 terms rather than just a 2-term president. So for me, that's the tactic, because if you want to start afresh, I know that we will not have the target, because you have to.
But if you look at the man who is spearheading this effort, the Attorney General, he said that, well, they are pressed for time, but it's doable. That is what he is saying.
For me, actually,
you cannot see that.
I didn't see that. Like, okay, still now they are on the negotiation, where in January, National Assembly has closed. They are not sitting until March. They have signed there until the next legislative year, that's 2021 legislative year. By March, okay, let's take an example.
Emergency sessions can
be called,
they
can call on an emergency session.
Yes.
But when it was tabled before the speaker said that he has not seen any urgency in the bill. So, and he is the presiding officer in the National Assembly, because there was a motion that was tabled before for the draft constitution to come back to the National Assembly, and for him, he said there is no urgency in it. That's why he didn't give leave to the honorable member to table his motion. So he might say that, okay, let's wait, since March is almost at the door, let's wait. Okay, like March, you gazetted for 3 months, 10 days, then March, April, May, June, we are going into June. Then how many months before 2021? And by 2021, we should go in for election. Then from there, the National Assembly has to debate. How many weeks will it take for them to debate about it? You take it back to IEC, then IEC start registration and referendum and other things, because every eligible Gambian must vote in a referendum. So if people are 18 years and they didn't have voters card, they must be registered so that they will have the right to say yes to a document that will govern them. How process will that take? And you go into the referendum, for how long will it take? So for me, I feel like the time is not there. We might end up going into the 2021 election with the 1997 constitution.
So to you, what you are sensing is that the government is using this tactic as a way of further, suppressing this document, so that we can stick to the 1997 constitution, which will give the president even maybe, which will be a little more favorable to him.
Yeah, I might be wrong, or I might, but for my own suggestion and thinking, because there's a better way, that is the most simplest way, that the executive, they truly want this draft constitution to pass, they could have used that. They have National Assembly members that are supporting the executive, that's the NPP, those who are show their allegiance to the NPP. And all what you need is ask them to go with a motion to the National Assembly and rescind their earlier decision, and the draft constitution will come back to the parliament and they will debate it. Or either talk to them, those those who voted against the draft constitution, okay, hey, this is what we promised the Gambian people, and for us, we want this draft constitution to go. So you, the National Assembly, you change your earlier position and support the draft constitution, and we are assigning the Minister of Justice to come back with the draft constitution to the National. But when it comes to supporting the draft constitution, I think you don't need this mediation team. You could have done, or assign them to come with a motion to rescind their decision. So for me, I think that this whole idea is just, to blackmail us, to play with intelligence.
So is it also your view that the government is trying to fool the international community? Because you could see a lot of pressure from the side of the international community. We've seen the ECOWAS president come to the Gambia, and what he said was categorically clear, that they stand with the Gambian people in respect of this of a new constitution.
Indeed.
We have seen what the European Union, all of the European Union, their statement. So are you saying, because the amount of goodwill that the government is projecting is quite obvious, wherever they stand, they say we are committed, we are committed. And at the meeting, the dinner that was held, I was there with Jonathan, what the representative of the NPP, if you like, vis-a-vis President Barrow, what he said is that they are committed to ensuring that this new constitution is realized. So do you sense that the issue of them trying to give a fake impression, if you like?
Yeah, for me, I mean, when the draft, for me, I think they are given, because they even killed the draft constitution before even it reached at the National Assembly, because we have seen the position of the cabinet in regards to the draft constitution. Their papers were out, and for them, they feel like there are almost 7 to 8 points that they have pointed out that they are not in line with that. And if you look at the trend of the debate in the National Assembly, the same line that the executive is arguing is the same line that the National Assembly members that receive allegiance to President Barrow are arguing. So that means that the same objection was communicated to those people to go against the draft constitution. That's why they didn't even wait for the third stage. They just killed the draft constitution at the second reading. And you might be right, and everybody will be right, because if the government has the intention and what they are portraying outside that they want this draft constitution, they have a better way that this draft constitution could have passed. Now we are thinking of going for a referendum, because the will is there, and this is the promise that they have given the Gambian people. And you talk to them, this is the first time in the history of the Gambia that at least Adam Barrow, this is a legacy. I don't know who is advising him, but this is a legacy that will follow President Adam Barrow forever, because Gambian people has never drafted a document that will govern them since independence up to today. 1965 constitution was inherited from the colonial masters. The 1997 constitution, there was no parliament at that time. So they just draft the document and take it back to the people, and they just vote yes or no without even understanding what is the content. For the first time in the history of this country, that entire Gambian population, both home and abroad, contributed one way or the other to make sure that we draft a government that will govern us as the way, for the first time in the history. And this will usher in a third republic in the leadership of Adam Barrow. This is a legacy that cannot be erased. I don't know whether Barrow is not thinking about, but you look at their objections, they are telling them, okay, it has restricted or it has seized the right that the president has. Somebody who stood as a coalition, a candidate, and said he will serve for 3 years. If you have 5 years, why can't you thank God? But you are looking for another extra terms, and you want to just throw our constitution because of it. We are not drafting a constitution to favor any individual. We are drafting a constitution to favor the Gambian people, and Adam Barrow should understand this. And for me, the trend that they are taking, they are just blackmailing the people. If they want the draft constitution to come back to the parliament, they have an easier way where it will save money, it will save the resources, and it will save time. And for me, the politicians that are going and listening to these people, for me, I feel like it's an insult to them, because they have never adjusted the draft constitution. So what are you going there to discuss? And the next, I didn't see any document that will say, okay, this is what we are discussing. At least there must be a text that will be before the entire Gambian people that, okay, good luck, Jonathan is here. And this is the context that we are going to discuss. But I have never read anywhere that they can say, okay, this is what we are discussing. So why are you there? Is it that what the executive or agents, that's what you want us to accept, the will of the executive, when the vast majority of the Gambian people want the draft constitution as it is?
What do you make of the role of PDIS then? Because they clearly we at least we have an idea as to what their position. But then what we have seen is that at that meeting, Doi did not turn up. No Doi official turned up. You have almost all the political leaders there, but Doi didn't come. And then later I asked questions, and I was informed that Doi is not even trying to come anywhere near that. So what do you know anything in respect of Doi and its role in this mediation?
Yeah, actually, for me, I didn't get to talk to them why they are not there, whether they are even invited in the first place or not. But what is clear to me...
The government told me they were invited.
Very good, okay. And what is clear to me is that during the press conference, Khalifa said there is no problem in the first place for him to go there. And to my own understanding, Doi has never gone against this draft constitution. So Doi's position is they want the draft constitution to go to the people and they decide whether they want the 1997. So for me, there is no problem in the side of Doi to even go there and listen. What are you going to say? When actually, and I read and I heard Khalifa saying that there is no even a document that they could have told them, okay, this is why we are inviting you people to come and discuss. So for them, they didn't even understand what is the content. And for me, if I was a leader of a political party and I supported the draft constitution, and then, for me, I have no problem. Then still now I supported that, then I'm not even going there. What, am I going to negotiate? The problem is in the side of the executive. Their National Assembly members are the ones that killed the draft constitution at the second reading. So let them engage those people. The problem is not at the side of UDP, neither GDC, neither DOI. The problem is at the executive. So if they are truly ready to negotiate this, let them talk with the executive and tell them that let's see the bigger picture, not an individual picture, and allow this draft constitution to go. And it will leave a legacy in this country that the entire world will be proud of Gambia. After 22 years of dictatorship, we have moved in now to chart our own destiny. We must at least charter in with a third republic, and we cannot have a republic without a constitution. You must have a constitution, then you usher in a third republic. And that was the idea of the entire Gambian people, that after the change, we will usher in the third republic. But if we allow these things to happen, then that means that we are yet to go into the third republic. Still now we are in the second republic. And we all know the history surrounding the second republic of this country.
What do you think now? Because Standard Newspaper is reporting today that there is a deadlock, there is a stalemate still. Jonathan left the country yesterday in the evening, and now today Standard is reporting, relying on sources, that the talks really, there is no breakthrough. It would appear that still there is a problem. So where does that leave us? Leave the entire issue now?
Yeah, I think, just like I'm saying, they want to just impose the will of the executive to these political leaders, and I'm 100% sure that they will not allow that. Because for us, like the issue of appointment of ministers, they object to that everything must be in the hands of the executive, that the president to appoint and sack. And for us, we said power back to the people. And we are not saying that the president will not have the power to appoint a minister. But all what we need is the confirmation of the National Assembly. Then you can choose Lamin Jai to be your Minister of Interior. But all what we need is for Lamin Jai to go before the National Assembly, the letter to go before the National Assembly, and they will look at the CV of Lamin Jai to find out whether Lamin Jai have a good record, track record, whether he is qualified for the position. This is all what the National Assembly is requiring. They are not saying that but others interpret it that they want to take the power from the president. And at the same time, if you want to sack Lamin Jai, you must forward your reasons why you want to. Then it will come back to the parliament, and parliament will look at it and see whether it is reasonable for you to sack Lamin Jai. And this is the beauty of democracy. And this because by then we know that the former president, have been using. He can just fire based on politically, like you don't support his agenda, when actually you are qualified to serve that position, and just sack you because you don't support his agenda. And we said we want to have an institution that the civil servants will work until their retirement if they don't violate any laws in this country, but not to sack and fire them at any how. Just look at it. And it's very funny. You can just take a solicitor general just today, you say, okay, go to the foreign service. What is the reason?
We'll get to that, because amid all these events happening, all of a sudden SG Marina was dismissed, was sacked. So I was like trying to connect the dots. I asked people, a lot of people, and they say, okay, it is not connected to this issue. But then that is what has happened. But also, let's talk about briefly about Khalifa. What we have seen is that he came to the parliament in a bid to, scrapping, trying to sort leave from the speaker to overturn the decision that was made by the parliament in September. That was rejected, and Khalifa really is clearly not happy with
the decision of the speaker.
And we have seen him complaining. You are somebody who is always at the National Assembly. What did you see? Khalifa appears really disappointed, and he might rule this for the entire new year.
Yeah, definitely for him.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, there is a provision that is in the standing orders and even relying on the constitution that the National Assembly members, you can seek what we call a motion without notice before the speaker to give him a leave, to table a motion that the National Assembly members can rescind their decision and reconsider whatever decision they have taken earlier. Like it happens when they made that $54 million loan scheme. The next day, Khalifa came with a motion for the National Assembly members to rescind their decision and throw that loan scheme out of the National Assembly, but the vast majority of the National Assembly members said they still want the loan scheme. So it's the same procedure that he did in this one too. He find out that there is a waiver, and since the executive are trying to bring the international communities, to come and help us, in terms of our own affairs, the way and the manner we govern. For him, he feel like that if there is a room for the National Assembly member, and since he's a sitting National Assembly member, let them use that route rather than inviting other people, because it seems like we cannot manage our own affairs as a country, and one might even go further to say that even question the sovereignty of this country. So Khalifa feel it deemed necessary to come with a motion, since there is a provision in the standing orders and at the same time in the Constitution to come with a motion. So he seek the leave of the Speaker so that he can table a motion for the National Assembly to rescind their decision and continue at the second reading where they stop. Because other procedures that they want to take, they will start afresh. And for him, he thinks that they can continue with the second reading and invite the CRRC as a subject matter specialist, since the CRRC has already been dissolved. But they can be invited as a subject matter specialist, and they can advise the National Assembly members, those who don't understand. So this was the whole idea of his motion, but the Speaker, the discretion lies on the Speaker that he can entertain the motion or not. And using his discretion, he threw it out. He ruled it out, and that was and Khalifa feel like, okay, the arguments that he forwarded based on why he ruled out his motions were not convinced to him by saying that he didn't see any urgency in it. And Khalifa questioned if you can invite the international communities and you say there is no urgency in them. And he relied on some concept that the draft constitution can only come back to the National Assembly through the executive. And Khalifa said that there's no provision in this constitution that says that you can reintroduce a bill that has been sent out of the parliament. The only way you can do that is by coming with a motion to rescind your earlier decision. That means that you wipe out what the decision that then you can bring it back. As far as you didn't take that route, it's not in line with the law. So for him, he didn't see in his judgment, there is no legality that he rely on to deny him the motion, and he feel it necessary to call the press and tell them what actually transpired in the National Assembly, and everybody, the history will be the judge.
Do you think he will go to court?
No, I'm not sure he will definitely go to court. I'm not sure of that.
He will sue the Speaker. Well, I mean, I know Khalifa is really, really disappointed in the decision of the Speaker there. So one more thing, you are always in the National Assembly, and then what we have seen is that Hamad Ba, at the weekend, I mean, whether it is an attempt, deliberate or not, what we have seen is that what he told the people of Nyamina is that Omar Sise is the one who is blocking their development. He voted against the SAP. You are always at the NASA. Did he vote against the SAP?
No, actually he didn't he voted, but his argument, Ahmad Ba was, I understand where he's coming from. He's arguing with Umar Sy during his contribution to the whole draft, the appropriation bill. When it came there are so many roads construction, and Umar looked at the entire document and found out that there is nowhere in Nyamina East that has been included in the road construction. And he made an argument that development should not be based on because of a particular group area is supporting the incumbency and they should construct the road, but they should look at people that need, and Nyamina West definitely need this road. And for him, he feel like people are just giving out these roads to the people. They feel like they are supporting their agenda, and they are all taxpayers' money, and it should be important for the executive to reflect on when they are doing this distribution. They look at the places that need, irrespective of whether you are in the opposition or you are in the ruling government. And he made this argument, but at the end of the day, during the vote, he voted for the supplementary. He never voted against, but he make arguments in regards to that, like you have an objection, like you will not agree entirely with what is before you, but when they put everything together and said vote, you might vote, but you must bring your arguments, and the ministers will come and defend and verify. And the Minister of Work was there, and he trying to justify why it was why they did that, but I could not, because I went back and I checked the video that Umar posted is my own video, and I checked and I found out that during the voting he voted for the supplementary budget. But he have arguments. He argued in the floor of the National Assembly that the executive are not doing the right thing. So maybe Ahmad Ba might take that and see it as he have voted against, but in actual sense he never voted against. But he argued with some of the issues in the supplementary.
Kex, I take you as my Daniel Dale there of CNN to fact-check what Hamad said, and now you have fact-checked Ahmad. Ahmad is wrong in claiming or saying that Honorable Omar Sise voted against the SAP. That will be that for the show today. Thank you for being there. Kex, thank you. As always, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very
so
much.
that is it from me. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then.